I would like to turn this presentation over to Travis Pelletier, who is with Standard, and I'll have him introduce himself and proceed with the presentation. Go ahead, Travis.
All right, thank you, Rose. As mentioned, my name is Travis Pelletier. I am the Territory Account Manager for Standard in the Northwest. I cover kind of the northwest corner from Washington over to Minnesota, down to Kansas, and over to Utah and up to Oregon, and everything in between. And today I don't want to present anything necessarily earth-shattering, but I am fairly new to this industry, but I have some sales background, and so I have brought a few retail sales techniques over into some of my trainings. And as I have tested some of the things that I'll go over today over the last 6 to 8 months, the accounts that are using these tools, they are increasing their sales significantly. And this is simply because so many people that come into this industry, or CSRs, they have very little sales background. They may be great at customer service, but they don't know about sales. And so I want to give you guys a couple of techniques today. I'll try to be pretty quick and just give you some quick, powerful things. I actually do these through webinars because I'm not able to make it to every account in my entire area, and I do them 10 minutes at a time. And the accounts that do this 10 minutes once a month, I actually don't even cover any standard material. I just go over selling techniques. Their sales on retail, their cash-based sales are increasing. And so please make note of any questions you have, and we'll go over it and we'll kind of open it up. But can you go to the next slide, Rose? So we all know the AARP numbers, that there are 10,000 people that turn 65 every day. I think it's 125 million people will turn 65 over the next 20 years. And this is going to continually, steadily increase because healthcare is getting better, prescriptions are getting better, the pharma industry, and so people are going to live longer, and so we are in an industry that can capture all of those people that need products and services for a longer period than ever before. Next slide. This group of people, they control 80% of the discretionary spending power of the United States. They have money to spend. They have worked very hard over their lives, and they now are retiring. And they grew up in an era kind of post-World War II, kind of during that era their parents grew up in. And everything, the hospitals and kind of this whole industry was very sterile. We're all very familiar with the 2-button walker. That walker is great, and I'll mention it later. It has served its purpose, and it's extremely innovative for the time that it came out. It was developed in 1961, and we still have the 2-button walker. And so just to put some numbers to that, just go to the next slide. 90% of these people, because of the experiences they had with their parents of going to facilities and kind of living out the remainder of their lives in those long-term care facilities, most of them now actually want to age in place. 90% of them want to age in place. And these statistics, actually, they got these from several million people. So it's, as much as I believe that most statistics are pretty skewed, I think this one it kind of captures that pretty good because they got such a large group to get those numbers from. Next slide. Those of you that have been to the HME 180s with Nova and Golden and Standard and PettyFix, there's several different companies that kind of get together for these. We go over this material, but just to reiterate, if somebody were to remodel their home to be able to age in place, they're going to be spending upwards of $50,000 to $100,000, somewhere kind of in the middle of there to do some pretty basic things. But if they come to you guys' stores and they get products, they can do that for much less. But I don't know of anybody that is walking out of your stores having spent $4,000 unless they're getting 2 lift chairs. It's very uncommon. And so we need to figure out ways to increase the average ticket sale and stop people from buying online, and making sure that the value is created. There's value add every single time somebody walks through the door, and that they leave with a product, or that they leave with multiple products if they only came in for one. The next slide, please. So we at Standard, we call them order takers. If somebody comes in with a doctor's order that maybe their mother or their father has taken a fall, they're in the hospital, and they are required to get certain products fitted in their home before they leave the hospital, or they come in with a prescription or whatever it might be, and they are great customer service agents. They will go and grab that product from the shelf, or they'll even tell the person where to go find it, and they won't even walk with the person. They go get it, they ring them up, they bill their insurance, and it's over. And that's fine and well, and people like to be taken care of, but more than people like to be taken care of, people actually love to be sold to. They love to be shown and educated on products from a professional. And this is where durable medical equipment specialists and professionals can come in and actually be a salesman to increase those average tickets. And more as we see it in all of our jobs, there's more and more cash-based products that are coming into the market because the insurance conversations that are happening. And so we need to learn how to be able to sell, because our businesses will dry up if we don't understand how to supplement cash-based sales into our daily retail. Next slide. There's 2 metrics that I want to briefly go over. Each of you, if you don't know this, please write this down. And if you do know this, you should be doing this at least on a monthly basis, if not weekly. And I actually suggest to CSRs, to salesmen, to actually run this for themselves on a daily basis, or to ask their manager if they have the statistics, if the programs that they use can spit out these numbers. But the average ticket, it's just simply a metric that details the average amount of sales per any given customer. So you divide the total dollars spent by the number of closed tickets. Really, really easy to figure out. I think most stores are probably averaging around 200 to 400, probably 200 to 300. A good store is going to be in the 350 to 450 range. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But if people are coming into your store and they're only averaging $100, then you either have a very specific business model, or you may need to look at doing some training. The next one is closing ratio. In this industry, we should be having 100% closing ratio. But everybody who walks through that door, no matter who it is, they should be walking out with something. And so this is just simply a metric that details the percentage of deals closed of all the customers who walk through the door. So total tickets divided by number of total customers. And that should equal 1 or 100% when you divide that. I guess I won't ask questions till the end, but those are some simple metrics. There's a whole bunch more that you should be running on a daily and weekly basis, because the numbers don't lie. Next slide. So I'm going to be going over how to top-down sell and how to upsell. Next slide. Previous to this, I worked in car sales. I worked for a very fast-growing car dealership in northern Utah, and it was a Chrysler dealership. And I had to memorize an 8-step process with word tracks and scripts, and I always thought that it was kind of silly until I moved industries, because even when somebody walked onto the lot to look at cars, I had to go up and kind of rotely give this script, and I thought that it was very robotic, and I didn't think that it worked very well until I saw the numbers. And that little dealership is actually one of the fastest growing dealerships in the whole Western United States because of the process that they have developed. Car salesmen, they're the second most hated job in America, or viewed job in America right now. And so they're trying to, at this little dealership, to change that. And so you guys should have sales processes in all of your stores. No matter what that looks like, this is a simple sales process, but each of your CSRs should have this mental idea of how they're going to walk somebody through a process, rather than just take an order, or if somebody comes in for a specific product, to then just help them with that one product. They should have a whole process lined out, and maybe you have it written out, and maybe you have some basic word tracks to help them so that they actually will upsell and bundle sell. This one, greet, qualify, present and educate, create value, and then close. And the most important one that I'm going to go over is creating value. After the education piece, it's important to know where you can create value and make sure that you get to the next level. Next slide. I like to call upselling value creation rather than upselling, because there's kind of a negative connotation that goes along with that. Value creation, though, it helps CSRs to recognize that there might be something better out there for somebody if they will just give a chance. Each of you have tons of different kinds of people that walk into your stores each and every day. You may have a mother or an expecting mother coming in for a breast pump, or you may have somebody that has recently had knee surgery or back surgery and they need a brace or a knee scooter, or you may have the baby boomer demographic that's coming in for any number of mobility aids or compression stockings or whatever it might be. You have all sorts of different people that come in, and I want each of you to kind of think of, if you are new to this industry, then you will remember this better than others, but remember back before you were in this industry. If you were to walk into a DME store and look at all of the products, you would have no idea what 90% of them were or what they did, and there was no way that you could compare them. When you walk into Best Buy or an electronics store, you have no clue. Most of us have no clue what you're looking at and how to compare. And so people love to be sold to. They want and need you to educate them and to help them, even if they put up barriers that are kind of trying to keep you from swindling them, because people will always assume that. But if you can act in a professional way, people will love that, and they will rave about that to their friends and online. And so it's important that we can sell to each individual type of customer. Next slide. These are of anything that I will present today, these are the two most important things that I think I will possibly present on all day. Let me show you what your options are, and this is our next best option. This is the best way. If somebody is coming in for a specific product, or if they're coming in and they tell you a story, they let you know how their mother or their father took a really bad fall and all of the things related to all of it, and how they need to get X, Y, Z, and they tell this big story. Either way, to be able to have your CSRs take control of the situation and be the professional, the first thing that they can say after they are polite and listen to the story is, let me show you what your options are. It immediately switches the conversation and makes them the professional, and then they take the individual to the most premium product that you have in your store. The reason being is because they won't prejudge, even if the person comes in with a prescription, or if they come in and maybe they're not driving a very nice car, or they're kind of unkempt, they aren't clean, or whatever it might be. It keeps the CSR or yourself from prejudging and assuming how much they can spend on a product. We just learned that this baby boomer demographic control 80% of the discretionary spending power of the United States. There is money even if they're not acting like it, or even if they tell you otherwise. And so it's important that we take advantage of every opportunity. And if you go to the most premium product and work your way down, then you're never assuming what somebody can afford and take the chance of offending them. And so you go, you say, let me show you what your options are. You go to the most premium product. If they say, oh, I don't need that, or that's too expensive, then you say, this is our next best option. And you then tell them all of the features and benefits that they will miss out on because they are not buying that nicer premium product. So next slide. And the next one. And this, we call this anchoring the customer. So when you go to your most premium product or the most expensive one, you anchor them to that product by showing them all the features and how it's going to benefit them. And so it allows you to keep them at that product, and they will be drawn to the more premium features and benefits. And you can continue to let them know what they will miss out on as you go down. Next slide. That's why it's so important that you have so many different options in your store. If you only have one option of a specific type of product, then you are limiting yourself as to how much you can sell. We go over this in the HME 180s, so those of you who've been to these, you'll know, but we're kind of split up in retail, all of us, into different categories. They're at the bottom of the screen, the basic, better, and best. I like to call it basic, better, best rather than good, better, best, because basic infers that it is just the very basic. For example, the 2-button walker, that would be considered a basic option. There are other much better walkers or rollators that are on the market that you can sell, but that's the one that insurance covers, and that's the basic one. And so most of us, we kind of mentally understand this, but there are 14 to 19% of people, when they walk in, even if they kind of put up a fight, they actually do want your most premium product. They're willing and want to get the best thing that you have. And it doesn't take very much convincing to get them to purchase the nicest thing. And then most of us, we kind of fit in the middle, the better, that 51 to 55%. And these are people who they don't want to spend all their money on the premium product that doesn't seem like those features and benefits are going to completely change their experience, but they also don't want a cheap product. And then the bottom section, that basic, they come in and they can't afford it, or they don't want anything but the basic. They just want to get the bare minimum and get out of there. And so that's why it's so important that we have at least 3, if not 3 to 6 options to show people, so that you can capture your entire everyone who walks into your store. So, next slide. This is a really a basic, I guess, example of how this works. These are standard products, but you can do this with anything. So we have our signature lifeline, our pole. Some of the features and benefits, it goes up to 12 foot, which there are a few poles on the market that do that. It works with a vaulted ceiling. We have different handles that customize. There's a trapeze, there's a tray, there's these 2 handles on the screen, and it comes in really nice colors. And then we have our standard security pole. They're both tension mounted, but it's not as customizable. The handle, it rotates every 45 degrees. But you can't customize the pole, and it doesn't reach 12-foot ceilings. And then if you go to the basic option, this option still works. It's still great, but you'll have to have a handyman come and install it, or maybe an adult child come and install it for you. It is permanent, and so you won't be able to move it, or else you'll have holes in the shower or in the wall. And you will you'll have to pay for a handyman, that expense to come and do that. And if you ever move, you will have to reinstall those products, or if you're renting, then you have to worry about patching up holes if you ever move, things like that. So that's just a really basic option. I won't go into any more detail. I think each of you know kind of the product that you have in your stores and how this works, starting with the premium, most feature-rich products. So, Rose, can you go down to the next slide that has, there's a big lifetime guarantee image on it? Okay, right there. Perfect. So every customer, when they come in, if you're struggling to close them on a feature-rich product, if you're trying to make sure that they or their parents or their child, whatever person comes in to buy the product, if you're trying to close them, you should always have something in your back pocket. You don't present all of the information. And I call these the closers. In baseball, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but traditionally a closer is the final pitcher who comes on. The first two pitchers, they typically have 3 or 4 pitches that they can throw very well. And they try and start the game and try and reduce the amount of runs and the amount of bases. And then a closer comes in right at the end, and they only have typically 1 or 2 pitches that they throw, but they can throw those very, very well. And they then try to close the game. And it's kind of the final thing that pushes that win. In car sales, oftentimes, fortunately I didn't work in this type of model, but in a lot of car sales throughout the United States, there is actually a second or third salesman who will come in that you have never seen before, out of nowhere. When you start to give a little pushback on a vehicle that it's too expensive or you don't like something, they'll bring in what they call a closer, and they will try and finish the deal. And to me, I think that's kind of a sleazy way to do it, but it shows a good example of how we want to do this. Closers, they actually work very, very well in car sales. There's a reason that they're used. It's because they can close, I think it's about 18 to 25% more deals. And so, of course, they're going to bring those guys in to try and help the less experienced salesman out and to try and finish the deal by getting a new perspective. And that's what we want to do with these closers. So for standard, for example, we have our lifetime guarantee. Somebody that walks in and they're looking for, say, a bed rail, then the CSR can say, oh, on this bed rail, there's a lifetime guarantee. It is expensive, or it might be the most premium or nice bed rail that we have, but you'll never have to buy another bed rail again because Standard will always back it up. If anything ever breaks or if anything goes wrong, they'll replace it, no questions asked. That's an example of a closer. Most products have something like this attached to them. Another example in your stores, if it's not a warranty item that the manufacturer provides, then it's something that you need to have in your store. I know there is a store in Kansas that they never let anybody walk out of their store without the product being assembled. Whatever type of product it is, they will always make sure that it's assembled, or they will deliver it and assemble it there in the home. You can provide free delivery. You can warranty items on your own. Whatever it might be, you need to have some sort of value add that can tip people over, because if we're talking about the Amazon and the Walmarts of the world, they don't have that professionalism that you guys can provide. They follow algorithms, and that's a story for another day, but you guys can create value that people can see. They're willing to pay for the service rather than just the cheapest or the least expensive product that they can find. And so it's important that you have a quote. All right. Next slide. Next is bundle selling, and I'll go over this pretty quick. This is pretty self-explanatory. Next slide. If somebody comes in to get one product, then they can also benefit from another. It is vital to you guys' business to bundle sell. So many people are losing customers to online sources because they're not doing this. When you bundle sell or you make pre-made bundles, I know multiple accounts, they'll put together packages of different items that go well together, and they'll sell them at like a 10% discount. And they're still making their margins on these, but it's really difficult for somebody in the store to pull out their phone and try to look up all those items on Amazon or wherever online and try and figure out if that's the best price. And in the meanwhile, you can be selling them on why it's important that they have all of these products. So if somebody comes in for a lift chair, then they could also use maybe compression stockings, or maybe it's an expecting mother that wants a lift chair to put their baby to sleep, so they need a breast pump. Or if they need help up from bed, then they could also use something. Or if they need help out of the bathtub, or if they need a stair lift, or whatever it might be. And I've got some examples. Rose, can you just kind of slowly go through the next few slides? Next one. So this is a great example as you kind of are trying to train your CSRs on this. Just go over products. Maybe every single morning, just pick out a few products and say what goes well with a knee scooter. And you can think of 10 different examples. And then on the next one, a lift chair. If somebody comes in for a lift chair, what else do they need? Can you sell them compression stockings? Can you sell them some sort of other mobility aid? Do they need a walker or a rollator? Maybe they need a CPAP machine. There's so many different things that you can connect to these. If somebody comes in for a breast pump, next slide, then do they need extra bottles? Do they need maybe compression stockings along with that? Maybe their parent is having some mobility needs, and so you can talk to them about that and bundle sell some of that in there. So go down to the next slide with words there, testimonials and bandwagon. This is kind of the final thing to my presentation. As you guys are upselling and bundle selling, you will create an experience for your customers, which is so important because people will buy your store and your experience over price. And so you have to be creating that. If you have somebody if you need to hire an intern or a new CSR to stand by the door and greet people and direct them or take them to their product or go and introduce them to a salesman or to a CSR, then hire an intern. Pay them minimum wage and they can get some industry experience. And then it provides a leadership training program. Do whatever you need to do to make sure that these people are having a good experience and get testimonials. They really work. It's proven. There's data that shows that everyone is online now. And so if your store is not online and does not have good ratings, then people are not going to come and find you. And so it's vital to this bundle selling and upselling experience that you are online and you are asking people or somehow inviting them to be involved in this. And in follow-up, the next slide Rose. Just remember kind of what we've gone over today, just to reiterate, to offer a basic, better, and best option that as you are creating value, just a reminder that let me show you what your options are, and this is the next best option. And then use top-down selling. You start with the most premium product and work your way down. Bundle products together by simply asking questions or trying to make some easy assumptions that if somebody's coming in for one product, then they'll always need something else, and they should be walking out of your store. And those are ways that you can increase the average ticket and that you can have 100% closing ratio. And then get testimonials. You guys are the professionals, and so it's important that you that you take that role and you own it. And that's all I had today. And so I'm happy for questions, whatever you guys have.
Thank you, Travis. And I have unmuted everyone's line, so you are able to speak. So we'll open it up for any questions for Travis. Okay, we're getting some feedback there. Any questions for Travis? All right, we're hearing none. Travis, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you for this great information. And for everybody that is on the line, we will go ahead and send you this presentation via email. And if there's any questions that you think of afterwards, please respond to that email. And I will get in touch with Travis to get back to you. Outside of that, I'll give everyone one last second to ask a question. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and make sure to mark your calendar for the next presentation. That concludes our presentation for today. Thank you.